Van Halen's Jump turns out to be a totally fitting song for one of the main themes in this film. Good place to start. One of my few complaints is the use of narration coming up, especially since they give us such easy to decipher visual exposition with this simple fly over the stacks, clearly an impoverished vertical trailer park of sorts. And then we get presumably our main protagonist exiting said poor area. The fiscal status is confirmed as we track past people using VR headsets for things they probably can't afford in real life, like pianos, trips to the ocean, and, well, some people just want to live out different fantasies. Also, the vertical layout of the trailer park, while terribly dangerous looking, is actually really awesome and inventive with the counterweight rope system and drone delivery.
People stopped trying to fix problems and just tried to outlive them.
And now I'll defend the narration, cause duh. But also because this is a Spielberg movie that's all about the callbacks to a simpler time. Adapting books without voiceover narration is hard enough as it is, but here it actually serves the purpose of putting you back into the 80s mindset.
It's a place where the limits of reality are your own imagination.
And so far, the imaginations are killing it. I want to do all of this. Yup, that. Don't know how to play polo, but ice must make it better. Batman? Sounds great. I know there's probably that one thing that each of you got excited about when you watched this, and for me, it's Battletoads. Yes, that was my childhood. Yeah, my avatar would also be a mashup of 90s to mid-2000s Final Fantasy heroes.
Sector 12, Planet Doom.
Remember that time I said Voltron wasn't relevant anymore? Yeah, me either.
Man, getting my kills on, bro!
And H is very clearly a girl masking her voice. I'm sorry, but we all thought it immediately. To be fair, at first I thought she might be the secret love interest, so actually a decent red herring if it was on purpose. Foreshadowing for something that happens in the book, but not the movie, that I won't spoil in case you want to read it. Still, a good misdirection for the book readers. And just as an aside, I'm going to mostly ignore the book, or try to be vague in case someone wants to read it.
If you all want to reach under your seats, you'll find that there's nothing there.
I like that so much, I want to steal it for later. Also that, Julia, if you're watching, Starfleet-themed flower arrangements and Spock's casket are a must at my funeral. I haven't been this amped up about a car building itself from thin air since Clue's slow-mo light cycle construction. And then it's a DeLorean complete with flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel possible. Quick shot of the bridge building itself is another example of the crazy amount of work that went into this movie. Just added flair to make everything fun to watch at all times. And if you were sitting in IMAX or 3D or IMAX 3D, you were either super duper stoked that you chose to do so, or you were puking. Either way, intended outcome achieved.
I think it's Artemis. I've seen all her walkthroughs, her Twitch streams.
You always lose something going from book to film. Artemis's build-up and backstory is one of those things, but they actually do a great job of quickly letting us know that she's somewhat famous and a bit of a celebrity to Parsifal.
Artemis, the Sixer Fixer?
You mean the Suxor Fixor? A slide to make Kaneda proud, and Tetsuo jealous. Who performed a duck move with a car, opened the door to collect credits, and then immediately turned those credits into fuel without taking his hand off the wheel. Also, he made a reference to Back to the Future 2 by turning the wheels into flying mode. Ha! Did the Batmobile just skid the OG Batman theme? Which actually brings to my attention that there's no score, no music throughout this entire race. Really immerses you in the action with just sound effects. Man, you couldn't have been that far from 88. Then you could just jump ahead in time like 30 seconds.
Fail!
Saving that girl you think might be someone you've heard of.
Game variant with slappers only. No weapons.
I know what slappers only means.
Everyone knows what slappers only is. Personally, I was partial to License to Kill.
Song was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles.
Another one of those songs I drive past my objective in Vice City just to keep listening.
Video was Take On Me by a Hop.
Yeah, he would have loved a music video where someone was sucked into an imaginary world. Wait. I'm sorry. Did that lightning bearer just take his wind? This is nothing like The Hobbit. Deep cut, I know, but some of you are with me. Even the leaving the Oasis disintegration is slick.
Respawn and level up like everyone else.
Love the juxtaposition of Wade's meek lack of confidence against his self-assured avatar Parsifal.
Stop! No!
A matriarch physically standing up to the abusive boyfriend. That's a bit of an expectation subversion. Usually they just scream in the background.
Maybe it's because Artemis said it, and she's hot.
Honesty.
Oh, joy. And how will you eat up my valuable search time today?
You're good, Simon Pegg, but not that good. Go take some lessons from Alan Tudyk and get back to me.
All rendered into a three-dimensional virtual experience.
Clearly Parsifal would know all this already, and clearly it's for us. But since it is Morrow, he'd want to keep up the simplistic AI facade so no one suspects him.
Are we finished?
Yeah, we're finished.
Can't we go backwards really fast? Fast as we can.
Go back! 10 seconds!
Also, if you're wondering why the curator doesn't close the window when Parsifal asks, Morrow clearly wants someone like Parsifal to win rather than IOI. Ugh. Visually, this is one of the most satisfying things to watch, seeing through the floor and knowing he can't be touched by anything above. And I love how nothing is fully rendered until it goes into the visible space.
As soon as I took the key, all the coins just appeared in my account.
He actually got the 100,000 credits when he took first place.
20,000 for the holy hand grenade? That's a steal.
What good is it without the Book of Armaments?
To be honest, I have kind of a neck thing. It's like a carpal tunnel.
Okay, whatever your opinion on TJ Miller, the fact that the character artists or modelers meshed his voice with one of the most visually intimidating avatars is pretty impressive.
Steampunk Pirate King. I knew him well, Sorrento.
And it would be IROC who would use the Shakespeare quote to sound intelligent, but like so many others, misquote the line. Even shows Avatar's a little younger looking. Plus, in Mandarin, the show character, spelled a little differently, means long life, which is another hint at him being young. I mean, shouldn't the comparison be Wozniak? I guess they switched roles in this future. And I like the change-up of the engineer pushing the marketer/businessman out rather than the other way around. Mortal Kombat plus Alien equals win. There's a brief moment where the curator seems to be emotionally processing that his wife was only mentioned by his best friend once.
She could actually be a 300-pound dude.
Or like a lesbian black girl, or something totally different than that. This scene makes me want to watch San Junipero again, so I will. Good job, movie. You know, it's cats like this that create unrealistic body expectations for kitties around the world. Wait, that's not a win at all. Although also for furries. There, now it's a win.
You look awesome.
Compliments? I mean, it's still complimenting her taste in what she chooses to look like. I love that everyone in the background is staring at Artemis and Parzival like they're celebrities, since they are. It's a detail that some filmmakers would miss after the initial selfie attention. That's a pretty stellar visualization and really makes me feel like this tech is within reach.
The microfiber crotch in there.
Modesty. I mean, we've seen this date before, but never full CGI weightless disco dancing to the Bee Gees where the girl is wearing a dress made of red vapor. And it's not too often that a first date turns into a zero-G firefight with aliens' pulse rifles and lawgivers.
I just bought this.
Whoa. That Back to the Future musical cue was like a hit of pure uncut nostalgia.
Whereas my plan, which was cool because I rock.
Rule critic.
Voila, which is French for... And then I found out.
French lessons.
You want the ship from Defender?
Yes.
You want the Millennium Falcon?
Yes. Am I the only one that secretly roots for the good guys to just take the deal or the money for once and for it all to work out all right?
I crack open a tab. I put on some Duran Duran. I play Robotron. That's why I love the Oasis.
Ben could sell power gloves to an amputee.
Really hoping you'd say no. Because if anyone's gonna win this competition, it's me.
You really switched gears there. From fairly reasonable to maniacal overlord.
Yeah, but he does it so well.
I don't want to hear your voice ever again.
Not his X1 suit. I feel like I should be upset about something else. Hey, at least Jim Raynor got a solid one-liner in there. Also, this isn't nearly as dramatic, but this whole scene has a very plate collapsing on Sector 7 feel to it. Which, I'm always up for a Final Fantasy VII reference.
I'm not disappointed.
I mean, seriously. You're wearing a Joy Division shirt. How could anyone care?
So our options for that week are the Fly remake.
Superior remake. Oof, this is something else. The war game scene in the book was fine, but for a visual medium, this. The grainy film stock, the accurately creepy lighting, the matched shot angles from Kubrick's original, and, of course, the score.
I've never seen The Shining. Is it really scary?
A Dutch tilt to accentuate the ridiculousness of that question. And another perfect recreation from the movie that gets taken to the next level, even having the camera underwater as if the original scene was just extended. That tub seems taller. But they downplayed the gratuitous and upped the grossness, and then took the original maze even further to the next level. This entire sequence is fantastic, paying tribute to the classic while adding their own surreal spin. Now that's more like The Shining that I remember. Also a Little Cabin in the Woods.
First to the key, first to the egg.
In the age of studios tattooing, look how progressive we are in their foreheads, I'm kind of surprised they downplayed the real reason that Helen, a gay, black female, chose a male, non-black character for her avatar. I wouldn't really call H white in the movie. I get that it may have felt a little too pandering for the movie, and they were in immediate danger, there wasn't a lot of time for a heart-to-heart. But it's a bit of a missed opportunity as it would have resonated with a lot of the gamers that share some of or all of Helen's attributes. But they hinted her sexuality a little in the Shining puzzle, and then I actually don't hate that she's confident and not worried to have her best friend see her true self. Because he might feel betrayed for a split second, but not because she's gay, black, or female, just because she misrepresented herself. It actually speaks more to their friendship that they move on quickly.
Has to be doused.
Somebody read the book. Man, did his face just glitch? Hint that they're still dreaming. I mean, inside the Matrix. I mean, still on the holodeck. No. I mean, still on the ship in a simulation inside a simulation inside. I give up. You had that coming, Boss Man 69. Hey, there's a beautiful Beardwin. I don't know why you're destroying your warehouse, but clearly the Iron Giant is just a big old yup.
In the name of Artemis, in the name of H, in the name of Daito and Sho.
You left John Bender out. Aw, grunts, elites, and Spartans fighting together, Batgirl, Joker, Spawn, Flash, and is that Stripe? He-Man fighting together? Let's just say a bunch of teamwork. This is pretty epic. So epic, you should just make an entire movie about a pop culture icon battle royale. Yep. Yup. I mean, I realize he's just an Avatar suit, but way to totally misunderstand everything about the Iron Giant. More importantly, I feel like if the Iron Giant was cloned from his movie with all his weapons, he is a weapon, I think he would have been unstoppable. Thus, he's just a big robot with a few of the correct weapons.
Chucky.
Yeah, that's fair. Appropriate reaction. I can't not win Mechagodzilla. I just can't. Not again. Well, that's also a yup. Serenity dropping off the Gundam. Saving your buddy and not dying. I love the wave effect of the dying red shirt Sixers.
First to the egg.
Self-sacrifice. Yeah, owning that very mild sort of just makes you cuter disfigurement. It's sarcasm, but I actually do like it. Comeuppance. Mark's Lancer! Oh, never mind. The glaive! Some things just never change, whether you're made of iron or love for Edward Furlong. Superman, am I right?
No.
You'll forgive me for this, I promise.
Wait, no.
Mercy kill? Or like IRL love kill? Actually, it's sort of a super unique self-sacrifice since he's killing her avatar to save her in the real world. It was a callback either way.
You'll forgive me for this, I promise.
Holy hand grenade.
Yes, finally worked more like you'd expect it to. Although I have no idea how because he didn't count to 5. I mean 3.
Chance 2.
Hey, I'm not going out like that. All right, that's a camper move.
Oof, low blow, TJ. Even for you. It's a legitimate strategy. Glad to get a little street fighting between the two mains. Also, more yup. That insane pile of loot. Also, brutal? I know it's a game, but that's a lot of death. Also, more comeuppance. Who gave that to you, Scott Pilgrim?
Give me a hug. Ninjas don't hug.
While I'll say reorganizing the way the contest was played and skipping over some of the sections like Dungeons and Dragons that just wouldn't have translated well, ending here with the first ever game containing an Easter egg works totally perfectly. And I love that even the team dedicated to working against the Gunters is still totally stoked to have completed Halliday's contest because they're true believers, as it were. Well, finale, you could say that that's your end.
I won't make the same mistake you did.
So this is a little confusing because he does need to sign a contract at some point, but it's more symbolic than anything else. The contest was about getting the egg, but you see how little Halliday actually cares about it since he can't remember where he left it. That was never the point to him. He wanted someone to take over who would understand his biggest regrets and share his ideals. I know it's a little un-80s of all these people to just move out of the way. Everyone can sit there and say you would have mobbed him. And yes, the mob would clearly succeed in subduing him, but the odds that some people would get shot are high. So are you willing to get shot? It doesn't matter what a mob can do, it matters what you would do. I'm still saying that I would because otherwise he was going to shoot some kids, but not everyone, maybe not even me, could make that decision in the heat of the moment. There are a few options here as to why Sorrento decided not to shoot Wade, but ultimately I think it's just a moment of clarity and joyous reminder of Halliday. And no matter how powerful you are, you can't just execute a kid in front of a crowd of people and get away with it. Now that the contest is officially over, the crazy race to the finish can stop. And ordering people to be blown up from afar is a lot different than pulling the trigger like Finale tried to point out to him.
Do your job and I'll do mine unless you want to take this and go after them yourself.
You're not an avatar, are you?
No.
Is Halliday really dead?
Yes.
Then what are you?
Ready Player 2, The Rise of AI.
I'm taking the leap.
Love the raising one leg cliche for the VR generation. 4th time through and I'm just noticing the Batleth, and I just can't go back to see if anyone fights with one, so you guys let me know. Win for the Batleth on display like a katana though. Since this movie is basically one big Easter egg reference call out, I won't bother talking about them all. I covered most of my favorites, but a few more that were fun or were a little more hidden were Sonic tapping his foot waiting in line, Mad Max's Interceptor, Lara Croft. I mean, the freaking title treatment is a maze itself with an Easter egg at the end. I also love how actual game achievements like a triple kill bonus show up on H's HUD. I'm sure you could study this film for days and still not find every reference or Easter egg. I don't recognize every character, some you can't even make out, but you better believe that they were all placed deliberately. And that speaks to how much time Klein and Spielberg spent trying to make this a true representation of 70s, 80s, 90s pop culture nostalgia worship. And it's fun to comb through. Beyond the Pop Culture is one of the more well-conceived video game movies ever made. The MMO component is well thought out for the most part. You could start poking holes in things like, if coders can just create their own gear, what's stopping someone from making unlimited ammo headbands or invincibility vests? Especially when the creator seems to be against making more rules. Also, he may have severely underestimated how much gamers enjoy just killing to kill. Having your name on top of the leaderboard would be less a yay selfie, more kill that noob type situation. That said, it seems like there are enough rules to keep everyone limited in things they can do and create, and the us versus them mentality created by IOI helps in that regard. H building the Iron Giant as a commission means she must get some kind of permission or authorization. Anyway, off track. Point was that the weapon, armor, and vehicle storage all seems really intuitive, combined with like a second life social aspect to the whole thing. We can all see the value in how easily it would be to get sucked into the Oasis, especially when there are basically no limits on the things you can obtain in their power levels. Once you get through that, there's still a movie to talk about. There's a slight tonal dissonance between the real-world sequences that were very clearly directed by Spielberg and inside the Oasis that doesn't always feel like it is. He's still in there. Directors usually have as much or as little control as they'd like when it comes to full CGI sequences. But the constant spinning camera and maximum screen real estate usage at all times isn't really his style. Even his futuristic sci-fi movies like Minority Report or AI have a totally different aesthetic to the Oasis. You definitely feel him in some of the race and battle sequences. Parts are definitely Spielberg action. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing anyway. It's the entire point. The Oasis is an escape from reality, especially for those living in poverty. It changes how everyone interacts with the world and its inhabitants. Parzival is confident even when he's being goofy and lame.
Bye-bye.
Everything in this world is hyper cool, hyper motion, hyper real. Sorrento's avatar is just like him if he lifted weights and had color-changing contacts. Not to mention Dark Superman or Clark Kent with no glasses. But speaking of Sorrento, I feel like I've used this explanation a few times for less developed villains, but I don't understand why no one ever comes to this conclusion. Like I said in the opening with the narration, this is intended as a throwback movie. To make Nolan Sorrento any more complex than he was would have been a mistake. In fact, his avatar is deliberate evidence of how one-dimensional he is. Even his ultra fantasy is just a guy in a suit, and no matter how mustache-twirly Ben Mendelsohn gets, he always comes at villains differently. He'll probably never surpass Danny Rayburn, but I'll always like seeing him chew up the walls. Ty Sheridan was totally fine. He plays each of his characters distinctly enough to give you that unique feeling to each world. He even seems more confident as his avatar giving the same speech.
We ask you to join us on Planet Doom in the name of James Halliday himself.
Same goes for Olivia Cooke and the rest of the side characters. I said my piece about Lena Waithe's part, but her performance was great regardless of the decisions made for her character. The standout was obviously Mark Rylance. I just realized he's Mr. Dawson from Dunkirk, the civilian with the boat, and that blows my mind. The way he captures awkward, hyper-intelligent, possibly on the spectrum, Garth-type billionaire was astounding.
Currently valued in excess of $500 billion.
He single-handedly brought the mystery of this story and the contest to life. And, thanks to him, the Groucho Marx message is pretty clear.
As terrifying and painful as reality can be, the only place that you can get a decent meal.
The real world is what matters. Don't spend your life staring at screens, which is a fine message. Though it's not lost on me that the way in which Halliday conveyed said message was by forcing a generation of gamers to obsess over pop culture icons and in the process actually elevated himself to pop culture icon status. It could be some sort of like, see, I told you that you wasted your life, winning my $1 trillion company and the girl of your dreams. And yeah, there's no winning the girl. I get it, it's the 80s, it's far less offensive than, say, Revenge of the Nerds. But come on. I'll say the movie version managed to give Artemis more agency than her book counterpart and made Wade a little less stalkery. In defense of the indefensible, they're kids. He clearly worshipped her and she was likely the first female to show him interest, and they had a lot in common. I'm not excusing the cringy stuff, just saying I understand why they were drawn the way they were. And then further defense of Halliday would be that it's totally possible he learned all that stuff while creating the contest and thought going through it the way he did would help the final winner come to the same conclusions he did. And ultimately, I'm willing to let all that go because I appreciated the message and the barrage of pop culture references was fun. Even seeing the Iron Giant do the express opposite of what the Iron Giant would want to do was entertaining because, you know what? As much as Brad Bird made an anti-war, anti-gun film, he also created a crazy giant robot that would be amazing in Smash Brothers. And we'll all use the Iron Giant as an avatar in VR battle without thinking twice about the implications. I know I was a little all over the place in this one, but I had a lot of feelings. Some were ultimately problems with the book, which I actually liked less than the movie. In the end, I really liked the movie, even if I rolled my eyes occasionally. It was a great realization of this idea, and getting to see some things I've loved forever come to life in different ways will always be fun. I'm rooting for a sequel. Next week, another newish one.
Uploaded to the cloud. Sounds like heaven. Wait, no.